What Anthony Albanese is doing with our foreign policy in the Middle East now is disgusting. The fact that there are other lefties around the world doing the same thing doesn't excuse him. He's demonising Israel based on Hamas-fueled propaganda. He's listening to the Greens, to the Teals, to all sorts of ferals in his own electorate instead of sticking to the facts and looking at what needs to happen. Now, Mike Kelly is a former soldier for this country. He's a military lawyer. He's a former federal Labor Defence Minister. He's served in the Middle East. As you just saw, he's still very connected to the international information and insights into what's going on. Albo needs to just take half an hour out of his day and catch up with Mike Kelly and talk about these issues instead of listening to the ferals. Get some facts and some expertise into his daily diet from Mike Kelly, who lives in Canberra. Albo can catch up with him anytime. A former Labor Defence Minister speaking sense while the rest of the Labor Party is running around demonising Israel. Let's move on to the other side of politics now. I'm back to Canberra and catch up with Kevin Hogan. He's the Nationals' Deputy Leader. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. Good to catch up with you again. I just want to play you a clip from Matt Canavan earlier today talking about the net zero debate and what it means for the country and for the coalition. Here he is.
We're irrelevant right now. Like, who cares what it looks right now? We've got to get the results. Like, that's what's important. It doesn't have to be neat or tidy or pretty. It has to be effective.
Yeah, a lot of people focusing on the fact he's saying the coalition's irrelevant. Well, in numerical terms in Parliament, you kind of are at the moment. He's right, isn't he? It doesn't matter how ugly or divisive this debate looks, especially given it's been going on really for 15 or 20 years. The coalition just actually has to get the work done and come up with the right policy that it can take to the people of Australia for the next decade.
Chris, exactly. And look, we're irrelevant in the sense, obviously, our votes are never going to win a majority in either chamber at the moment. So on that point, it's true. But really important that as an opposition, we do over the next 2.5, 3 years go to the electorate with a really coherent policy. And, you know, I was asked this morning too, you know, what I thought of Barnaby Joyce bringing on his private members bill yesterday, Chris, and I said, I celebrate it. You know, he obviously has arrived at a position. We're doing a review as a party room. We've decided as a room to do that review. It'll take us a number of months to get to a party room position. Barnaby feels strongly, good on him. And Chris, you know what, on our side of politics, we've always celebrated public debate even within the parties. If you have a different opinion, that's okay. Labor Party, socialism, mate, you don't do that. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do it because that's not what they allow. But and just to segue, just to go back to, Chris, I've got to say this. How far has the Labor Party moved to the left? Listening to Mike Kelly, he was in the Parliament not that long ago, and on things like foreign affairs, without people like him, Albanese and the Labor Party have just gone to the left even further. Well,
I wanted to come back to that because I found it fascinating. I've known Mike Kelly for a long while and I've crossed swords with him in the past. I've got enormous respect for his career and his analysis, and to hear him talk through that in such a factual way, and it's such a sharp contrast from what this current Labor government is doing. Yet Albanese is under pressure from inside his party, from Muslim MP and former Minister Ed Husic, to actually go even further and recognise some imaginary state of Palestine now. Here's Ed Husic on this channel just the other day.
I understand the logic that's been expressed by our government that has said it should be part of a process, but the reality is that events have changed, and particularly over the last 20 months, and what we have seen every month seems to be more horrific than the last. We should be making that case and saying we're prepared to recognise that now.
I just fail to see the logic, and Albanese sort of entertains this as a prospect. I mean, Hamas starts a war, slaughters innocent people, still holds hostages. It's killed dozens of them, handed some back, and it still holds hostages alive and dead, has perpetuated a war that's now killed tens of thousands of its own people, and it should be rewarded with some fantasy of a Palestine state. I mean, the logic here is just ludicrous.
Chris, it is. And look, might I start by saying personally, I really like Ed and I respect him. But look, as has been made, the biggest danger to the Palestinian people in Gaza, the biggest threat to their safety, to their health, to their nutrition, to their livelihood is Hamas.
Yeah.
And the focus that a lot of the West, or the left, if you like, have on Israel is ill-founded. You don't see them talk near as much about the terrorist organisation that hides behind women and children. Organised that horrific attack back in October the 7th, nearly 2 years ago now. So they are the bad people here. When Hamas is dismantled, which is obviously what the Israeli government and defence forces want to do, and you cannot blame them given what's happened. Once they are dismantled, you can then start to work on how a Palestinian state might work, because who would it be? Who would be running it? Who would be the representatives? And right now you can't do that because Hamas are in control. So to point the finger elsewhere is ludicrous, as you say.